Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa. This is March 24th, 2026, in the year of our Lord. This is going out live in the evening. It is approximately 10:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I apologize for getting this out late, but certain situations called for me to not do my show earlier in the day. All right. As I'm going to say, today's topic, this will be episode, I think 42. Not certain, either 41 or 42. You can check my playlists. Today's discussion is going to be ICE, of course. I said this whole week will be ICE. And the shutdown, the TSA, and of course, the Iranian war. And as the title of today's show is, the lies of the Democrats. Now, earlier this evening, I think Senator Schumer, the minority leader of the Senate, said no deal on a partial, of opening up and paying TSA workers and holding ICE funding for another vote. He said no deal. That either they get everything they want or nothing. And they're going to make a counteroffer. And they're saying that ICE is out of control. The 2 killings in Minnesota that happened, and shootings and everything else like that. But what the Democrats don't tell you is from 2015, which is part of President Trump's first term, the amount of people killed by ICE agents making arrests or in their protections of themselves, from 2015 to January 20th, 2025, 32 people were shot and killed by ICE agents. Where was the concern then of the Democrats? Where did they say we have to shut it down, no funding, this is ridiculous? During the Obama administration, the most amount of people were deported. You can't even get figures on shootings and stuff. It's almost impossible to find it because they say, oh, there's no statistical records found of it, and just nonsense. The 32 people that were killed in that time frame since 2015, which is 10 years. 32 people, but nothing on whether or not I should be shut down. Now, you can say that from 2025, January 21st, to date, there have been shootings because we're aggressively now enforcing our immigration laws and going after these people. Biden left Trump with a list of 1.6 million people that immediately captured, they get deported. 1.6 million. And the Democrats are screaming, oh, how could this be? How can we deport people? How can we do this? Obama had the most amount of deportations of any president. The lies of the Democrats Now, I could see them saying you have to identify yourself. Police wear badges, they wear name tags. But with ICE agents, the left has gone to the point of doxing them, of going after family members, of harassing them. And the Democrats, turn a blind eye to it, except for one. John Fetterman, Democratic senator from Pennsylvania, who called it outrageous, who said that shouldn't be allowed. They should be arrested and persecuted. Well, not persecuted, I'm sorry, wrong word. Prosecuted and dealt with, and it should be done immediately, not made an example of. Just follow the law. And all the Democrats have been doing is filling the airways with lies. Absolute lies. And I, for one, I don't want to see the President of the United States being forced to abandon what got him elected, was immigration reform and following our laws. If the Democrats were so high and mighty about all this, they would have done this when they were in power. They would have fought for that when in power. You know why they didn't want to do it? Because up until President Trump, no one wanted to put their fingerprints on it. Not a Republican, not a Democrat. They were just hoping the problem would go away, something else would happen, and it didn't. You're having murders committed by illegal aliens in the United States against citizens. And even if it wasn't a murder against a citizen, it's just another person being murdered in the United States by an illegal. And you have the people, getting on the other side. Well, people get murdered all the time in the United States. Yes, and hopefully they're caught and convicted and sentenced and dealt with accordingly. But we shouldn't have to worry about people that shouldn't be here murdering people. And this is what it comes down to. And I hope the president does not knuckle under to it. If the Democrats are so concerned about the TSA getting paid, they just had an avenue to address it. They don't care. They're using these people as pawns. And most of the media won't even address that. Though some now are starting to go that way. They're saying, hey, they can get paid, and you can talk about ICE later. We'll cut that because that's really protected in the big beautiful bill. But the idea that we're not going to fund TSA under this, and you want to basically stop border protection from stopping people from coming into the United States. That's what they want to do. They want the borders opened up again. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Every Republican should be calling their representatives, be Democratic representatives or Republican representatives, and go, no deal on our borders. No deal with decapitating ICE. No deal. TSA workers, you want to shut the airports down? Shut the freaking airports down. People can't go on vacation somewhere? It's on the Democrats. Business people can't get to meetings and things? Use Zoom. But there should be no retreat by Donald Trump on anything that will decapitate ICE. They want to say, well, they're going to start wearing badges. They're going to start wearing name tags and stuff. Okay, you could wear badges that could identify you. You could wear name tags. They want to wear a mask. They could wear a mask. If the protesters and those people are all in black garb and you can't identify them, well, hey, and they're at a protest. They have a right to a certain amount of being able to protest legally, not throw bricks and bottles and objects at the police or block their vehicles or stand in their way of them carrying out their duties. No, that's not legal. And yet they're all in masks and they run into the crowd and people surround them and they you just don't have enough ICE agents that can do anything. And the police are sitting back because they're being told, don't get involved. No. There should be no leeway given here. None whatsoever. They want to shut TSA down, shut it down, close the airports down. The airlines go out of business, they go out of business. There'll be other airlines to take those spots. But we can't undo what's coming over the border. I don't care about flying if I lose my territory or if I lose my life or someone in my family gets hurt by an illegal that shouldn't be here. They shouldn't have to pay that price just so people at the airport don't have to wait another 2 hours for their flight. Sorry, that's just the way it is. Yeah, it sucks. Tell the Democrats to get off their asses and get on board. It is ridiculous that you even have Senator Thurn from South Dakota running around trying to make side deals and going to the White House and saying, hey, if we do this and this, and we can go this way. No, this is it. President Trump, tell them what they need to do, or just we keep going the way it is. And make the hurt. And I feel sorry for the workers, TSA, that are caught in the middle here. I do. Shut it down. And the TSA workers that say, I'm not going to come to work unless they get paid, I can understand that. But then you abandon your job. And you could counter that by saying, well, hold it, a job I get paid. I'm not an indentured servant here. And they would be absolutely correct to make that parallel. But here's the other thing. An indentured servant couldn't quit. Quit. If you don't show up for work and you're not in the hospital, you can't produce a doctor's note or, whatever. And I realize you could play a lot of games with that too. The stress from not being able to do it. But if they find out that you were working somewhere else, well, the stress didn't stop you from working. And that would be the management side to look at it. How bad was the stress that, you couldn't work coming in here? Well, I wasn't getting paid. So it wasn't stress, it was money. And if you came into work, there would eventually be money. But I can understand them saying, I need to work. Yeah, it's a catch-22 situation, and I feel for them. But look at who's putting them in that situation. Wasn't the Republicans. Democrats, you shut the government down. You've hurt your own base enough. You lied, and you're continuing to lie on the reason you want it shut, or reason you want immigration and border protection not to happen anymore. We know what you've done. We've seen your plan. We know exactly what you want. And in November of 2024, America told the Democrats what they thought. You didn't like the outcome? So you're going to fight with this president the whole way? You know what? President Trump, don't give in on them. Don't give in. Dig your heels in deeper. The president knows what he's doing. And this bothers the hell out of the Democrats. We had prior administrations, Republican and Democrat, that have failed to do and carry out their duty. We elected a president who said he will carry out his duty. He will enforce the law. And yes, it will be painful for people. Don't like the law? Well, Congress, change it. You could do that. But you won't. So what do? You take 140,000 people and you use them as a pawn. You don't care about their lives. You don't care about the families. You don't care about any of that. You have a political agenda. The president is following a legal agenda. There's the difference. Just blow the smoke away from it. And you say, ICE agents are going, shooting up. They're not shooting up anything. People are attacking them. And some people that attack them are trying to kill ICE agents. And would not hesitate to kill them. And you have a political system backing those people. We see what you're doing. We know what you're doing. There's a lot of people out there that won't speak up and say, yeah, what they're doing is wrong. And, oh my God, what are these protesters doing? We're getting rid of illegals. That's exactly what it is. It doesn't matter if you're a criminal, a mugger, or not. If you're an illegal, this is the process that happens. If we happen to catch the worst of the worst, even better. And you don't think shoplifting is a crime? Ask the store owner who loses his business because people come into his store and rob them and shoplift. With impunity, it happened with impunity. And you have major chains of stores closing down areas. They just we're not going to do that. No, it's not profitable. We're out of there. And they're racist because they're moving out of these. We're racist because we're trying to protect our employees who now lost their jobs. And we'll just move to a safer spot, or we'll just close that place and, let them order online. And the Democrats fail to realize this. They don't fail to realize it. They don't care. Oh, we don't tax that business anymore, but, we'll go after Amazon, or we'll go after, any of these online stores. And we'll go after them. We know your game. And you're going to be called out on it. There's a lot of people that won't because they're afraid. Years and years of being, chased down. Well, you must be a racist. You must be a homophobe. You must be an Islamic phobe. You're really gay and you just don't want to admit it. This is the stuff that people have been put up with, and companies, and they go, well, we just don't want to do this anymore. That was the whole idea of DEI, which was just a cover for affirmative action. It wasn't law. DEI is not a law. There's no law out there. And yet, they had paid protesters going in front of companies and stopping them from working. These people could care less. They were getting a paycheck from someone to protest. They turned it into a business. Enough. It's not going to happen anymore. Stop it. President Trump, shut the airports down. Just say, no, it's not safe to fly. Shut it all down. There you go. You don't want to wait an extra 2 hours to get through? Don't fly. The airlines get so upset with it, stop flying, cancel the flights. But we're not backing down on. You're not holding us hostage over here because your guys think they're holding us hostage with this. Not happening. Nope. This isn't for, I'll give you one and you give me one over here. Nope. Nope. And you have people screaming up and down. No understanding of the law, no understanding of what the president is doing is legally allowed and has been going on through many administrations. Not a peep. But Trump comes along and says, I'm going to clean up the border. I'm going to clean up this. I'm going to do this. And they're, oh my God, he's the worst thing ever. Following the law, following our laws about immigration, that's a problem. Bullshit. All right. Let's turn towards Iran and the war. Trump said they were in negotiations. Iran said, nope, absolutely not. We're not negotiations. It's all a lie. And then, of course, you find out that, of course, president's telling the truth. But in the meantime, the media is all running around going, oh, look, the president's lies. He lied. We're not in any negotiation. Iran told us so. The same people that said they had no nuclear ambition and then at the table during negotiations, oh, well, we have enough plutonium right now to build 10 bombs if we wanted to. So the Iranians can never be trusted. They can't be trusted on anything. Now they turn around and they say, well, we don't want Kirshner or Witkoff doing the negotiations because they were in negotiations with us and then attacked us, so we don't trust them. I can understand. I can understand that logic and saying the only ones we'll talk to is J.D. Vance. Hey, guess what? When you're under the bombs of my country and all your talk about, we'll sink everything, we'll do this, we'll attack you, we'll attack this, we'll do this with missiles and stuff. Yeah, guess what? How'd that work out for you? Now I'm raining steel down on you. You don't get to negotiate the terms. You either agree, or I just keep dropping steel on you. How about that? And by the end of next week, your loyal following will be dragging you out into the street like they did Gaddafi. You'll end up on the end of a tractor hanging, dangling in the air. That's what I tell the Iranians. You don't tell me who negotiates for the United States. I tell who negotiates for the United States. You don't want to negotiate? Fine, we're out of here. Keep it going. And if you want to negotiate after this point, you do it with a freaking white flag. And the negotiation then is, you do what I tell you to do, or we'll just plow you over. And you have the media, anytime, a plane gets in trouble, a missile hits something, we expect when we fight that the enemy will fight back. It's not a weakness, it's just a cause and effect. And they gleefully, like, this is the end. And, Iran is showing the United States that it still has teeth. It has no teeth. They're shooting rockets at civilian areas. They're hitting oil tankers with radio-controlled drones. And I do expect losses, and I'm not minimizing. I don't want to see any of our troops put in harm's way if it's not necessary. 47 years of Iran, death to America, we're going to destroy you, we're going to kill you, you're going to live in rubble. Enough of that nonsense. We finally have a president that is doing something about it. And said he would do something about it. This war in Iran is not new, or oh my God, how could this have happened? No, Trump has said, I will never allow a nuclear Iran. Obama, when asked that by one of his inner circle, tossed that person out and never came back to another meeting again in the White House. When asked, would you find it acceptable, Iran having a nuclear weapon, yes or no? Because that's how we're going to have to gauge our intelligence on what we're actually going to look for and where the line is in the sand. And Obama told that guy, don't ever put me on the spot like that again. And he never was at another security meeting. Because no president wanted to take that fight on. Now, the Middle East was different under Obama, and I will agree with that the openness towards the West wasn't as secure. And, of course, we hadn't done anything to shore up our oil supplies except make Iran wealthy and Saudi Arabia and all the other oil-producing nations, and never looked at oil as a critical security, even though everyone was saying, hey, our oil is our security. If they would have cut us off, all right, it would be hurting for a bit, but we have enough that our factories, our cars, and everything that go, you might have to pay more because it's supply and demand. That's the way it's going to work. But you're not going to bring us to our knees. And you had presidents who said, we got to do we drill, baby, drill. So we're not. We got less than 1% of our oil from the Middle East that go through this Strait of Hormuz. Less than 1%. What was it under Biden? What was it under Bush? What was it under Obama? It was huge. You have California that says you can't ship oil by boat from Louisiana to California. So where do they have to buy their gasoline from? Because they closed all the gas producers in California. Oh, yeah, across the ocean from China. And Southeast Asia. Did you know that? Were you aware of that? Look it up. Newsom disaster. Iran reported that one of its only nuclear producing power plants was targeted and attacked, but there was no release of radiation. There wasn't, any damage done, but a rocket did hit in the vicinity of the nuclear power plant, and making the world aware of that. Well, I don't think we'll go after a nuclear power plant. So, can't speak for Israel. Maybe you should think. And I don't think Israel is going to go after a nuclear power plant because, it's going to contaminate a lot of things. Russia has now left the power plant. Russia was running the power plant. Looking over the shoulders of the Iranian technicians and things. And they've left. So, what do you think's going to happen there? Everything that you're hearing out of Iran is basically a lie. And all we hear is that Trump is not being open and not telling us, and yet everything he has told you has been the truth. And yet you won't have the media come out and admit it. They hate Trump so much that they've taken their own personal ethics and threw him away. And you have now some media, and there are some media out there that is questioning, Democrats and major outlets on their reporting and their sincerity in reporting and their honesty in their reporting. It's all been a lie of the left. And there are, I've said it before, there are good Democrats out there. There's a lot of dangerous Democrats out there. And I've never, ever, I hear Senator Whitehouse talk, and is this guy for real? Now, he's out of Rhode Island. The stuff that comes out of this guy's mouth is shocking. And any Democrat would be embarrassed, or should be embarrassed, when this guy talks. He's terrible, and yet he's sitting on some very powerful, on a very powerful committee. And I don't think, I hear him talk, and I go, this guy has some type of issue going on in his head. I hear Senator Kennedy talk, And I hear common sense come out of this guy. Rand Paul, I hear him talk. I hear some common sense stuff coming out of it. Some of the stuff he says is scary too, but I hear Senator Fetterman speak, and I go, yeah, okay, I can get where he's going with this, and I can get it. All right, you know. And then I hear Schumer talk, and I go, what happened to this guy? This guy was a moderate who knew how to get things done, who knew how to work the aisle. And in his fear of not being reelected again or you know, staying in power, he just tossed everything. He's a bumbling fool. Jeffries should never have been made the minority leader in you know, he should just never have been in the spot he was in. And you know, Nancy Pelosi, you know, who pushed for him and now no longer can babysit him. He's not a very bright man. Sorry, he's not a bright man. He's not a Cory Booker. I don't like his politics, but he's a bright guy. So there's a lot of bright people out there that when I hear him speak, I go, okay, he's factual. He's, you know, and now he's going out on little, you know, on the what ifs and if this and if that, instead of dealing with the facts in front of him. But okay, but I can get there with things. I can't get a hold of a lot of the Democrats. There's some Republicans I can't get a hold of either, but you know, I'm not a huge fan of Senator Graham. This is another guy that he'll whatever which way the wind's blowing, that's where he's going. I haven't heard anything from Tim Scott, South Carolina, my hometown. I'm not fans just because, you know, they're Republicans. I want to see plans. I want to hear what you're going to do. I want to know where you stand. And you don't have to stand 100% on my things. But if you're less than 49% of what I want, I'm going to look elsewhere. And you might say, well, 49% is better than nothing. Yeah, you could make that. You could make that. I won't deny that because it's factual. But everything that is coming from the left media is just nonsense. I can't wait till Kimmel is gone. I can't wait. I mean, I'm so happy that Colbert is gone. I mean, Colbert. His show they weren't even funny. They're not even funny. Jon Stewart, they're not funny. The View, not funny. Not informative. It really just... just useless. But they're allowed to be useless. You're allowed to have shows that are useless and nonsense. Just don't cross over, then break FCC regulations. That's all. And you want to have there's no way The View makes money. There was no way that Colbert over the last 6 or 8 years really made money for CBS. They just don't. These shows cost a lot of money to produce and have. And, you could have what is called lost leaders. You could have shows that don't make money, as long as other shows are producing money. But now, the way these shows all work, you have all these little branches in these corporations now, and you look at CBS, who got rid of their radio division. We can't make money on it. Now, I negotiated contracts. I was part of the negotiating committee for the IBEW. And we knew 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that radio was out. But we all said, as go radio, as go TV. And I said, we got to be real careful here in these negotiations, because whatever happened to radio, you saw how they got cut up and divisionalized and then parted out. I said, that could be us. And I saw the handwriting on the wall, and so did any of the leaders of the IBEW and negotiating committees. Knew what was at hand, and you try to minimize the effect. And I know in broadcasting it was the technology. We had an engineering lab at the CBS television, bar none, the best in the world. It was second to none, because if you wanted broadcast equipment, there were very few companies that made it, so you had to make it yourself. We didn't make cameras ourselves, we didn't make the switchers ourselves, but all the associated equipment that went with it, we basically made ourselves. It was designed and fabricated by CBS employees. And when I started in 1980 there, these guys were fabulous. It was, just amazing on what these guys could produce and the engineering. I was very happy to be part of that group. And when I was at CBS, it was a good company, and that changed after Larry Tisch had taken over CBS. But these companies, how many times have CBS been taken over? And every time, it gets whittled down. It gets diluted. It gets separated. And, I was told by a person high up in labor relations for CBS television that the idea was to only have about 200 core employees, and the rest daily hires, contract people, that they could then control that cost. Nope, they're getting too expensive. Boom, we're going to sell this division off. We don't have to worry about laying off staff people because they're daily hires, or they're temporary employees, or they're what was called 403Gs, which were a hyphenated employee, and we tried to keep the wolf just to stay at the front door. But you couldn't. Technology allowed the company to go from a studio with about 12 people working in it, lighting directors, your video operators, your audio operators, your Chiron operators, and all the support that goes with that, down to 2 people. And it was all automated. You didn't need an engineer in there anymore. You need maintenance people to service that, but it was all automated. You know, we go to the same 3 cameras every day, goes bang, 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 and nothing changes. There's, you know, very little format change in the appearance of the set, and that's it. And you don't need all the people anymore. You have virtual studios. You don't need studios anymore. You don't need elaborate sets. So the technology changed. And it was like watching, you know, the evolution taking place. You're just watching it. And in 30 some odd years that I was with CBS, I just watched it change from relay technology to transistor technology and tube technology to transistors to microcomputers to stand-alone computers that did everything. You programmed them up, set it and forget it. So that's what happened with the networks and why they got so lousy and how they got rid of their news divisions. And these people aren't even news people anymore. They have a producer, some kid out of college. They're paying, you know, $32,000 a year, and this kid is, you know, hey, I'm working in New York. I'm doing this, you know. And when he goes up to $38,000, they'll get rid of him and bring in a $32,000 kid graduating the next year from the college, and this kid moves on. But you don't have, you know, a Dan Rather that went out there and got news stories, that knew how to find people. I mean, when he became a sit-down anchor, you know, but he did all his own stuff. He wrote his stuff. He was, you know, the last of the few that sat there and wrote their own news. You know, you didn't have to like Dan Rather, you know, but he was old school. He knew what he was doing. And you don't have that now. Now you just got a guy reading off a teleprompter. You know, and he wouldn't understand that he just said 3 blind mice 5 times until the 5th time. You know, because all they do is read off a teleprompter. So, I have no faith in the media today. You think these people that are sitting even at Fox goes out and finds their own people? No, they have producers and they have people out there that gather up all this information. They give it to them. They read it. They might fact check some of it. But they're not, you know, news reporters. What they are no different than the kids standing on the street corner screaming, extra, extra, read all about it. And because they're reading it off the front page. And they're doing the same thing. That's all they are. They're hawking. So, well, I got off the subject there. I've been on now for 50 minutes. Bottom line is, President Trump, stand your ground. Do not give in to, you know, the crying of the, you know, I waited 4 hours online at the airport. Tough luck. Call your Democrats. Tell them to vote for, you know, whatever. But if they won't vote for it, you're going to be waiting longer. President Trump tell Iran, I decide who negotiates for the United States, not you. You don't want to negotiate with these 2 people? Negotiations are over. Get my generals in here because I got a mission for them tomorrow morning. That should be the message the president sends. The president should get on television and go, I would love for the TSA to get paid. If it was up to me, I'd pay him. But it's not up to me. It's up to the Senate now to do their job. And if the Democrats won't do their job, TSA can't do their job. And that's the way it works. That's the system on how it works. We have ICE, we have Border Patrol, Border Protection, as per the law. We're not circumventing that law. Well, I'm not asking you to circumvent the law. I'm not asking you to do anything but follow the law. It's all we're asking people to do. If the Democrats don't want to do that, that's on them. They want to stall it, that's on them. I think the president's been pretty clear on his objectives in Iran. I think we made the point. I think the fringe nations around Iran need to get into the fight. They need to get into the fight and go, you know what? They complained about Iran, in a closed room. They have to now come out and go, listen, Iran has to go. That regime's got to go. 47 years of their nonsense, even for us, is enough. Enough. And you have the Democrats, for whatever reason, whatever their reason is, and it's just really their true hatred of Donald Trump, that really is preventing the president from completing the mission at hand. Now, I understand. There are people that, all right, you did this, let's finish it, but, we can't be brutal about it. We could be very brutal about it. And if that's what we need to do to finish it, that's what we need to do to finish it. Do you think they'd be any less brutal to us? Do you really think that? Use your head, Americans. Come on. Iran was bad. Bad. And believe me, all these countries are, behind closed doors. Can you do it? And it's always up to us to do it. And when we ask them for help, they go, we don't want to get involved. We didn't start this war. We didn't do it. Don't hurt me. And yet England is falling apart. We're not far from that here. But we still have a chance. England is finished. English is finished. Most of Europe, finished. Done. It will be all Islamic. And, it's a disaster. It's a disaster. People talk here about freedoms and everything else. Yeah. Go over to those countries and wave a pride flag and see what happens to you. All right. With that, everyone, be safe. I'm going to say goodnight always. If you can give to a charity, please give to a charity. If you're uncomfortable with doing that, I get it, because you don't want to be a victim helping a victim. Think about giving to a local food bank. They can always use food. They could always use a monetary donation so they can expedite something in front of them right now to help people. Say a prayer. Prayer does work. Please pray for our troops. Please pray for the people of Iran that they get rid of their regime there that has held them back for 47 years. You'll have liberals say, "Well, we need that here." Oh. We have a revolution every 4 years, folks. That's why I always tell you, don't ever get mad and not vote. Because voting is your revolution. So, please vote. Never not just vote. Just vote for the person that, and never vote, all red or all blue. I don't do that. But you vote for the person that can most get you to where you're trying to get to on a political agenda and a quality of life agenda. So, say a prayer. Prayer works, no matter what a Democrat might tell you. And with that, I am going to fade to